Guys, Father's Day is coming up. And if you're looking for the perfect gift to give your dad, look no further. Help him step up his pocket game. The Ridge wallet, guys, it's light, it's sleek, it's industrial. And by the way, it doesn't fold and awkwardly bulge out of your back pocket. It goes into your front pocket. Ridge wallets hold up to 12 cards, plus all the cash that you need. You can choose from over 30 colors and styles. That includes carbon fiber and burnt titanium. It is the best wallet you can buy. You don't just have to take my word for it. There's over 40,000 five-star reviews. And I'll admit, I was skeptical at first. But once I tried it, I never went back to my old wallet. I'm sure you're going to love it, but guys, there's no pressure. Test it out for 45 days. If you don't love it, and I mean love it, send it back. You'll get a full refund. If you decide to keep it, and I believe you will, there's a lifetime warranty, so there's nothing to lose. Just go to ridge.com/Chael or click on the link in the description below. That's going to get you a special 15% savings for Father's Day. That comes with free worldwide shipping and returns. I have so many thoughts on Jon Jones, and some of them come from a place of envy. Some of them come from a place of imagination, where I will see him, but then I'll wish I was in his spot. I wish I was doing that interview. I wish I was in the ring winning championship. I wish I was in the ring making up techniques, right? So they're not always an insult, but boy, it's hard to see him and not be critical. Or sometimes you just got to sit back and go, man, what are we doing here? It's very important, it's very fair that you ask a guy, why are you here? And the reason I say that is so many people will do that, and they'll answer that at 18 years old. They're going into college. They're going into the military. They're going to go pursue world and Olympic dreams. They're looking for the NBA, the NFL. I'm just sharing with you. Right? I'm going to go through college. I'm going to get right. I'm going to do all these things so I can get the attention of the league, get picked up in a draft. That's a very fair answer. We get out of college, and now pursuing it's a little bit different. There's not scholarships. There's not a dorm. There's not a meal waiting for you. You got to figure it out on your own. So is it something that you really want to do? And if so, why? Is it intrinsic? Because I know for Jon Jones, at one point it was. All wrestlers, all amateur wrestlers, have to operate on something called intrinsic value. Because you're the only one that's going to know. Right? You're the only one that's going to see it. Nobody's coming to those matches. So, when we ask Jon that question now, what is this about? It's about the money. And the cat is out of the bag on that many years ago. Jon Jones left the sport and said, I'm only coming back if we change the money. He came out the night they put him in the Hall of Fame. Between going to the Hall of Fame and going to jail, which was all in the same evening, somewhere in between there, he did an interview, and I really appreciate it because I believed him. It turned out he lied. I believed him, though. And what he said was, I changed the money with the office. But the way I'm going to be rewarded is in the number of pay-per-view buys. So I'm going to have to go out and sell these pay-per-views. I've never done that before. It's going to be new for me. He said these words. I believed him. It sounded so sincere, and it sounded as though he understood it. Not to mention, he's right. If your part of your financial participation goes up with pay-per-view buys, then yes, Columbo. You need to up the pay-per-view. It's great. Really simple, right? But now he was in a position over the weekend. He comes out, he does this interview, okay? Now, Jon has been crushing it in interviews. He jumped in to someone else. Right? Green's doing an interview, and Jon jumps in. They call it a cameo, and this is over like Zoom. It's not even the world's best technology. Turned out Jon was in the house. He pops in. He starts calling Francis' name. He pops right back out. Lets Green finish an interview. It was a great spot. It really was. It was very well done. It was authentic. It wasn't nice. I mean, here you got a guy with the Bible tattooed on him, and he's calling a guy P-U-S-S-Y, right? Repeatedly. That's good stuff. That worked. I appreciated that little cheap thing over Zoom. Meanwhile, this weekend, Jon does an interview, and it's great. It's not over Zoom. It's high tech. Probably on an ARRI Alexa camera. With a great fob and a great interviewer and a great backdrop. And he shows up in this fly shirt, man. He's all buttoned up. It's a similar one to what I'm wearing now, but long. So he had these glasses on, right? He's wearing sunglasses. I know for a fighter to wear sunglasses inside, you're talking about low-hanging fruit, but this is also a guy who's never had a gimmick, aside from one that nobody wants to buy, known as the GOD. So this is good stuff. I'll take Jon Jones in a pair of shades, sure. And they ask him about Tyson Fury. Fight that could be. What do you need to have a fight, guys? There's 4 things, and I'm talking about the mega fights. The mega fights, you got 4 things. You gotta have a red corner and a blue corner. In this case, Jones, Tyson. They're here. They're both here. They're at the table. You've then got to convince a promoter. Dana's here. He's at the table. He is chomping at the bit. And then you got to have an audience for it. They sure as hell do. This is a massive piece of business. But it's going to require something outside of the box, which means it's going to require you to study other times that a wild match like this was put together and what ingredients did it have. And then moreover, you're going to learn in reverse, which is you're going to see what happened to all the guys that went for these fights. And they got laughed away. And they didn't even remotely get close. And you're not going to have to go back very far. You can go look at McGregor and Pacquiao recently. You can go look at Kamaru Usman's call out of Canelo recently. You can look at De La Hoya and George St. Pierre recently to find out what did they do, what were the commonalities, because obviously they were wrong. And you're going to start to put your plan together. And if you ever find yourself explaining, you're now losing. Let me give you an explanation. Jon Jones can beat Tyson Fury in MMA, but he probably won't fight me here. He does an element of fighting known as boxing. That's one element. In 1904, the ancient Olympics in Athens, Greece, had a sport called pancration. They removed pancration, which we now know as mixed martial arts, the greatest fighting system, and they just have elements such as boxing. Shut the F up. If you're ever explaining that, if you're ever explaining that boxing and MMA aren't the same thing and why, if you're ever explaining that MMA is a complete fight and that's a partial fight, you're losing. If you're ever explaining, you're losing. That's dull and that's boring. You're talking about the X's and O's. That doesn't draw anywhere. Who's this good-looking guy that dated the good-looking girl? Manning. I want to call him Manning, but that's not it. Tom Manning. Brady. Eli Brady. It's a Brady guy. He's never going to play, and then they're going to try to sell tickets by talking about the problem that he could have with the opposing team's defensive end, who's good at reading screenplays and knows how to get to the QB and sack him, and he's even got a record number of doing it. Like, the X's and O's are so, but why would you ever bring that up? You've got to go after Tyson's ego. The end. The end. He says he will fight anybody. I will fight him. I will fight him now. I even have a promoter. And don't forget, Tyson doesn't. I was very surprised to learn what little power Tyson has in the business. I mean, when he called out Francis, but he couldn't get a promoter to go along with him, I was really surprised. I thought Tyson could make a phone call, have some favors, have some friends, get things done. It turns out that he can't. I'm not teasing him. I'm just telling you that I was surprised. So if Jon is going to Tyson and he wants to fight, you have one promoter, who's Dana White. You have one promoter that said, we will figure out how to pay him. All he has to do, and I do mean all he is call me. If that's too much effort, this is Dana talking, if that's too much effort for Tyson to call me, who I have a relationship and he has my number, he can have one of his people call me. He doesn't even have to pick up a phone. Dana said, I'll make the fight and I'll pay him. So we're not now having a discussion of what the rules are going to be. We now know what the rules are going to be. And if Tyson would like to match that, if he would like to get Eddie Hearn to back him and say the same thing, okay, now the discussion continues. But Tyson came to the table with no money, no distribution, and no interest from a promoter. Jon came to the table with a promoter. So we're not having a discussion about the rules. That's all that I'm sharing for you. Now, if we're going to fight, I've got to attack. I have to bring into question your ability to actually fight. I don't need to get to the back and forth of the rules. I need to talk about the fact that you've got a smaller man. You have a 205-pounder. You have a fat 205-pounder calling you out. Are you going to answer for it or not? And everybody can hide behind money until now. Dana said, I got the money. That's all you got to do. This is it. What does Jon do instead? What does he do? Puts on the sunglasses, okay? So now he's performing. He's prepared to perform. He put the glasses on. If you do a gimmick of any kind, that's going to tell a cameraman, I got a worker here. Let's work with him. Jon goes out, he does the interview, and he talks about what a magnificent opponent Tyson Fury would be. Now, you guys know I'm not a dork. I don't use the word magnificent. I don't describe somebody's fighting style as magnificent. Jon did. What a magnificent fighting. Wow, what a great opponent Tyson Fury would be. This is how he came at it. Okay, but you got to understand, if you're Tyson Fury, I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight anybody. Tyson Fury doesn't want to fight anybody. He did. He used to want to fight guys. He wanted to unify the championship. It's where people always got confused about him versus Joshua. They thought it was a personal thing against Joshua. It wasn't. Joshua dropped the strap. Tyson lost interest. So he's just not in a position right now where he wants to fight anybody. Now, I will fight you if you piss me off the wrong way. If you say something, it's going to go one ear and out the next. If you say something and the gypsies believe it and they come to me and I've got to prove myself to them, believe me, I will. That's the one and only way you're going to get him. Jon says he's magnificent. What do we have to fight about then? You just told the world that I'm great. You just told the world about my abilities and my skills and how good they were. What are we fighting about? It sounds like we're in agreement.